Miniature painting. The process of applying paint to tiny, toy people. What is it? Why do people get into it? And what on earth do people get out of it? I've been into miniatures for about 10 years now, and I love it even more now than when I first began. How's it managed to keep me interested for so long? Miniature painting is an art form, just as drawing, digital art, and filmmaking are. As with many hobbies, it's easy to start, but incredibly hard to master. So, difficult, but incredibly rewarding. Oftentimes, it's also very expensive, with regular kits or boxes costing a lot more than you might think a little box of plastic men might do. Cast your mind back to 2014. Pharrell Williams' Happy is blasting on every radio channel, Ebola is the scariest thing on the block, and I'm 14. Little me is in a shopping centre when a giant Space Marine cutout catches my eye. I go in, mother in tow. An overly friendly manager catches me, sits me down and gets me to paint a fairly cool looking, but definitely squatting like he's soiled himself, Marine. He takes me through a quick round of 40k, weaving a story like an ancient orb-touting hermit. I'm hooked. Interested? He says.
Yes.
I reply.
£75.
Time stands still. My heart drops through my stomach. My mother cowers in fear.
Far too expensive.
We cry. So we wander around, looking at the different flavours of spacemen and space not very men. Much more reasonable. So we leave. A £25 box of spicy spacemen and a £20 paint set in hand, along with a £20 can of primer. I go home, assemble my squad, and get painting. I've been hooked ever since. As a child, I often dabbled in creating marvellous works of art with a pen and paper, but at a certain age, I just stopped. This second chance with miniature painting is what rekindled my desire to be creative, and it was the story, or the universe, that drew me in. And this statement is true for many fans of miniature painting today. There are plenty of other beloved franchises to choose from. Star Wars and Halo, for example, soon. There are indie games like Kingdom Death that are much smaller in comparison, but have a thoroughly interesting, mysterious world to discover, not to mention their fantastic models. But what about the miniatures without a game behind them? A lot of people buy Warhammer to get into the game and field impressive armies, pitting them against another force of someone else's creation. What about the stuff that's there to just look pretty? Without trying to out myself as a fake fan, I've never actually played a game of 40k. I've dabbled in practically all of the armies, but never stuck with any of them because, to me, all of them were just so cool. What really draws me in nowadays is the potential for creative freedom. There are plenty of indie studios and creators out there who produce terrific works of art. Busts, large-scale miniatures or dioramas, sculpts of your favourite game characters. Big Child Creatives, Left Hand Craft, Spira Mirabilis, and El Greco Miniatures, to name but a few, all have fantastic pieces of art for you to add your own twist to. As I mentioned, I've been painting for around 10 years now. I still keep most of my minis, even from when I first started. It's nice to remember where I've come from, and to be able to appreciate the skills I've been able to develop over all this time. Most importantly of all, it's provided me with an artistic outlet. I suck at traditional art. In fact, without miniature painting, I'm confident in saying that I wouldn't even have a creative outlet whatsoever. For some reason, my brain can figure out how to somewhat accurately transcribe the texture of leather onto a plastic 3D canvas, but can't make sense of how the anatomy of a stick figure works. At this point, I think I can call myself a pretty decent miniature painter, in a job where the most creativity I get is deciding how to word a sentence in a report. It's done wonders for keeping me sane while I sell my soul
To the work machine.
But don't get me wrong, there's still so much for me to improve on and learn, and that's one of the great things about this hobby. There's always something to advance in, something new to discover, and a new technique to try out. One of the key things that I've found has helped me along my journey is finding the right community. Most of my painting progress has been within the last year and a half or so, after I finally found a haven where feedback was given in earnest, and everyone is encouraged to do their best. Being surrounded by a constructive but highly supportive group is an amazing feeling. Personally, has helped me to be more passionate than I ever thought possible. The community is filled to the brim with talented painters, most of whom you'll never find unless you start looking. Inspiration can be found around every corner, and there are more content creators than you could possibly dream of. I'll leave links to some of my personal favourites in the description below. So, to those who may be even slightly curious, those who may be teetering on the edge of starting, or perhaps may even already be an established hobbyist experience a painting block, pick up that brush and start slapping on some paint. The world of mini painting is immense, filled with incredible people, paint jobs, and plenty of future successful projects. Maybe you'll even discover something new about yourself or your potential along the way. If you enjoyed this little video, feel free to leave a like. I'll have videos taking a deeper dive into Warhammer 40k and Kingdom Death coming up soon, so if you want to keep up to date, be sure to subscribe and click that notification bell. Catch you next time.